The disappearance of the crew of the USS Cyclops. My name is Jacob Ellis, and I have always been captivated by the sea. Growing up on the coast of Florida, the ocean was my playground, my refuge, and my greatest mystery. I spent countless hours fishing off the pier, diving into the clear blue waters, and listening to the stories of old fishermen recounting tales of storms, shipwrecks, and things that lurk beneath the waves. But nothing intrigued me quite like the enigma of the USS Cyclops. It was a chilly evening in late October 2021 when I first heard about the USS Cyclops. I was at a local bar, the kind where the salty air mingled with the scent of fried fish and beer. A few regulars were gathered around the bar, sharing stories of their adventures at sea. I was nursing a drink when I overheard a conversation that would ignite my curiosity like never before. "Did you hear about the USS Cyclops?" one man said, his voice low and conspiratorial. "Disappeared without a trace during World War I, and no one knows what happened to her or her crew." The mention of the Cyclops sent a shiver down my spine. I had read about the ship before, its mysterious vanishing in the Bermuda Triangle, but I had never delved deeply into the story. I leaned in closer, eager to absorb every detail. "They say the ship was carrying a load of manganese, or when it vanished," the man continued. "It was last reported in March 1918, and then, poof, just gone." The bartender chimed in. "Some think it was a storm, others believe it was aliens or some supernatural force. But the truth is, no one knows what really happened, and that's what makes it so damn intriguing." I couldn't resist the urge to learn more. The next day, I dove into research, scouring the internet and local library archives for any information I could find about the USS Cyclops and its ill-fated journey. The more I uncovered, the more fascinated I became. The ship had left Barbados, bound for Baltimore, but never arrived. The crew of 309 men, and the ship itself had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions. As I delved deeper, I found myself drawn into the lives of the crew members. I read about their backgrounds, their families, and their hopes for the future. Each name represented a person with dreams and aspirations now lost to history. I felt a personal connection to their story, a desire to honor their memory by uncovering the truth of what happened to them. I became obsessed. I spent late nights researching, piecing together timelines, reading accounts from historians, and studying the Bermuda Triangle's infamous reputation. The more I learned, the more I felt compelled to travel to the locations associated with the Cyclops. I wanted to see the waters where the ship had vanished, to feel the weight of history and mystery hanging in the air. In December 2021, I made the decision to embark on a journey to explore the story of the USS Cyclops. With a small backpack and a camera in hand, I set off for Barbados, the last known port call for the ill-fated vessel. I hoped that by tracing the ship's path, I could uncover clues about its disappearance. Upon arriving in Barbados, I was met with stunning beaches, vibrant culture, and the warm, welcoming spirit of the locals. Yet, beneath the beauty of the island lay a layer of history that intrigued me. I spent my first day exploring the island, visiting historical sites, and talking to locals about their knowledge of the Cyclops. At a small cafe near the port, I met an elderly man named Mr. Thompson, who had lived on the island his entire life. As I sipped my coffee, I approached him, curious to learn what he knew about the ship. "Excuse me, sir," I said, mustering my courage. "I'm researching the USS Cyclops and its disappearance." I was wondering if you had any stories or information about it. Mr. Thompson looked up from his newspaper, his eyes twinkling with memories. Ah, the Cyclops. A tragedy that still lingers in the air around here. I was just a boy when it vanished, but I remember the whispers. People were scared. You see, a ship disappearing like that? It's not natural. What do you mean? I asked, intrigued. Some say the waters around here are cursed. Others think it's the Bermuda Triangle's doing. Strange things happen out there. Boats vanish. Planes disappear. It's like the sea swallows them whole. His words sent a chill down my spine. I had heard the theories, but hearing it from someone who had lived through the time made it feel all the more real. Do you think the Cyclops was taken by the Triangle? I asked, my curiosity piqued. Mr. Thompson shrugged, a wistful smile on his face. Who's to say? The sea holds many secrets, and it keeps them close. If you're looking for answers, you might find more questions. That night, I returned to my hotel room, the sound of waves crashing against the shore echoing in my ears. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was on the brink of uncovering something significant. The next day, I planned to explore the waters where the Cyclops had last been seen. I rented a small boat, eager to venture into the expanse of the Caribbean Sea. As I navigated the waters, I felt a sense of excitement mixed with trepidation. This was where the Cyclops had vanished, and I was determined to follow in its wake. The sun hung high in the sky as I steered the boat into deeper waters, the turquoise waves shimmering around me. I closed my eyes for a moment, allowing the rhythm of the sea to wash over me. I could almost feel the presence of the ship, the memories of the crew lingering in the air. As I drifted further from shore, I began to contemplate the stories of the men who had sailed aboard the Cyclops. I thought about their families, the lives they had left behind, and the uncertainty that had followed their disappearance. It was a haunting thought that tugged at my heart. Suddenly, I felt a shift in the atmosphere. The wind picked up, and dark clouds began to gather on the horizon. I glanced around, unease creeping into my gut. I had heard stories of sudden storms in this region, and I didn't want to end up in a precarious situation. Determined to stay focused, I continued to navigate the waters, but the storm clouds loomed closer. The wind howled, and the waves grew choppy. Just as panic began to set in, I spotted a small island in the distance, a rocky outcrop that seemed to rise from the sea like a sentinel. I made my way toward the island, hoping to find shelter from the impending storm. As I approached, I noticed the remnants of what appeared to be old structures, stone walls and crumbling foundations that hinted at a forgotten past. Intrigued, I anchored my boat and stepped onto the island. The air was thick with salt and history. As I explored the ruins, I could feel the weight of time pressing down, as if the spirits of those who had come before were watching. I wandered through the remnants, my imagination running wild with possibilities. Had this island been a hiding place for pirates? A refuge for sailors in distress? But as I continued to investigate, the storm began to break overhead, the first drops of rain falling from the dark clouds. I hurriedly sought shelter beneath a large overhang, grateful for the respite from the downpour. As I waited for the storm to pass, I noticed something glimmering in the mud near my feet. I knelt down to examine it, brushing away the dirt to reveal a small, weathered coin. My heart raced as I held it in my palm. The design was faded, but appeared to be an old Spanish piece, possibly from the 17th century. It was a tangible connection to the past, a piece of history that had somehow found its way to this desolate island. Just then, the rain began to pour down in earnest, and the wind howled around me. I realized I needed to return to my boat before conditions worsened. I quickly pocketed the coin and made my way back to the shoreline. As I climbed aboard my boat, I felt a sense of urgency. The storm was brewing, and I needed to navigate back to safety. I started the engine, but just as I did, the skies opened up and a torrential downpour enveloped me. The waves crashed against the hull, and I gripped the steering wheel tightly, my heart racing. Navigating through the storm was a test of skill and resolve. The wind whipped around me, and the rain blurred my vision. I focused on the shoreline, determined to make it back. Each wave felt like a challenge, but I pressed on, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I broke free of the storm's fury and made it back to the safety of the harbor. I docked the boat, my heart still racing from the thrill of the adventure. As I stepped onto solid ground, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. That evening, I returned to my hotel room, the weight of the day sinking in. I pulled the coin from my pocket and examined it closely. It was a small piece of history, and I felt a thrill at the thought of how it had come to rest on that island. But more importantly, it felt like a sign, an affirmation that I was on the right path in my quest to uncover the story of the USS Cyclops. The next day, I returned to the local library to continue my research, eager to learn more about the coin and its potential significance. I discovered that coins like mine were often used by sailors and merchants, and they could provide clues about trade routes and connections between different cultures. As I delved deeper into my research, I stumbled upon an article that mentioned a connection between the USS Cyclops and a shipment of manganese ore. The article suggested that the ship was carrying not just ore, but also a collection of valuable artifacts that had been lost to history. My heart raced at the thought. Could the coin I found be linked to the very treasure that the Cyclops was rumored to have carried? With renewed determination, I set out to trace the origins of the manganese ore and its potential connection to the treasure. I spent hours poring over historical records, maps, and trade routes, piecing together a narrative that could lead me closer to the truth. In the days that followed, I uncovered more information about the ship's final voyage. It had left Barbados, bound for Baltimore, but never arrived. The last known communication had been a routine check-in, and after that, it was as if the ship and its crew had vanished into thin air. One afternoon, while researching at the library, I came across a photograph of the USS Cyclops. It was a powerful image, capturing the ship's imposing presence against the backdrop of the sea. I felt a connection to those who had sailed her, to the men who had embarked on a journey filled with hope and anticipation, only to meet an uncertain fate. As I stared at the photograph, I couldn't help but wonder about the crew. What had their lives been like before they boarded the ship? What dreams and aspirations had they held? They were not just numbers in a report. They were individuals with stories, and I was determined to honor their memory. With a newfound sense of purpose, I began reaching out to historians and maritime experts who had studied the USS Cyclops and its disappearance. I shared my findings, my research, and the coin I had discovered, hoping to connect the dots and uncover more about the ship's fate. One evening, I received a response from a historian named Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who had dedicated years to researching the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle. She expressed interest in my findings and invited me to meet her at a maritime conference in Miami. Excitement coursed through me as I made plans to attend the conference. It would be an opportunity to engage with experts in the field, share my research, and learn from others who share my passion for maritime history. When I arrived in Miami, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Scholars, researchers, and enthusiasts filled the conference hall, each eager to share their knowledge and insights. I felt a mix of nervousness and excitement as I prepared to present my findings. During the conference, I had the chance to meet Dr. Mitchell, and we struck up an engaging conversation about the Cyclops and its mysterious disappearance. She was intrigued by the coin I had found and encouraged me to continue my research. "There's a wealth of information out there," she said, her eyes lighting up. "The key is to piece together the stories and the evidence. You might uncover something significant." Her words resonated deeply, fueling my determination to continue my quest. Over the next few days, I attended workshops, engaged in discussions, and networked with fellow researchers. I felt inspired by the passion and dedication of those around me. As the conference came to a close, I realized that my journey was just beginning. Armed with new knowledge, connections, and a renewed sense of purpose, I returned to Florida, eager to dive deeper into the mystery of the USS Cyclops. Back at home, I dedicated myself to researching every aspect of the ship, its crew, and the events surrounding its disappearance. I tracked down descendants of the crew members, hoping to uncover personal stories and insights that could shed light on their lives. One evening, I received a message from a woman named Emily, the granddaughter of one of the Cyclops crew members. She explained that her grandfather had often spoken about his time aboard the ship and the rumors surrounding its fate. Intrigued, I arranged to meet with her. When we sat down together, I could see the weight of history in her eyes. She shared stories of her grandfather's adventures at sea, the pride he felt in serving his country, and the uncertainty that had surrounded the Cyclops. He always believed there was a treasure out there, something worth searching for, she said, her voice filled with emotion. As she spoke, I felt a deep connection to her grandfather's legacy. The USS Cyclops was more than just a ship. It represented the hopes and dreams of the men who sailed her. I was determined to honor their memory by uncovering the truth. With Emily's help, I learned about her grandfather's relationships with other crew members and the camaraderie that developed among them. It was evident that they were not just sailors. They were brothers united by a shared mission. Their bond made the mystery of their disappearance all the more poignant. As I continued my research, I discovered that the USS Cyclops had not been the only vessel to vanish in the Bermuda Triangle. Numerous ships and planes had met similar fates, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. I began to wonder if there was a deeper connection between these disappearances, a hidden truth that transcended time. Driven by this newfound curiosity, I began to explore the history of the Bermuda Triangle itself. I delved into theories regarding magnetic anomalies, weather patterns, and even supernatural explanations. Each possibility felt like a thread in a larger tapestry, and I was determined to weave them together. As I pieced together the puzzle, I found myself drawn back to the ocean. I needed to see the waters of the Bermuda Triangle once more, to feel the pulse of the sea that had claimed so many lives. With Emily's support, I planned another trip, this time to explore the mysterious waters where the Cyclops had vanished. In April 2022, I set sail once more, this time with Emily by my side. We rented a boat equipped with the necessary safety gear and navigational tools, eager to retrace the steps of the Cyclops. As we made our way into the heart of the Bermuda Triangle, I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. The waters were calm, the sun shining brightly overhead, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were venturing into the unknown. As we sailed further from land, I felt a connection to the past, as if the spirits of the Cyclops crew were guiding us on our journey. We spent hours scanning the horizon, discussing the possibilities and theories surrounding the ship's disappearance. With each passing moment, I felt a sense of urgency, a desire to uncover the truth and bring closure to the families of those who had been lost. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow across the water, we spotted something unusual in the distance, a small piece of debris floating atop the waves. My heart raced as we approached, and I felt a surge of hope. Could this be a clue? A remnant of the Cyclops? As we drew closer, I realized it was a piece of wood, weathered and worn. I carefully retrieved it from the water, examining the markings etched into its surface. It was a fragment of a ship, old, perhaps even from the time of the Cyclops. This could be significant, Emily said, her eyes wide with excitement. We need to document this. We carefully cataloged our find, taking photographs and noting its location. As we continued our exploration, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The mysteries of Oak Island and the Bermuda Triangle were intertwined, and perhaps this piece of wood held the key to understanding both. As night fell, we returned to shore, our minds buzzing with possibilities. The piece of debris felt like a tangible connection to the past, a reminder that the stories of the USS Cyclops and its crew were far from over. In the days that followed, we worked diligently to analyze the fragment and unravel its mysteries. We reached out to experts in maritime archaeology, hoping to gain insights into its origins and potential significance. The excitement surrounding our discovery grew as we continued our research. Eventually, we learned that the fragment matched the style of construction used in the early 20th century, aligning with the time when the Cyclops had sailed. My heart raced as I realized we might be on the brink of uncovering something monumental. With renewed determination, I shared our findings with Dr. Mitchell and others in the maritime community. The excitement was contagious as we discussed the implications of our discovery and the potential for further investigation. As we delved deeper into the history of the Cyclops, we uncovered more about the ship's final voyage. The crew had faced challenges, including rough seas and equipment failures, but they had persevered, determined to complete their mission. It felt like a testament to their spirit, and I was honored to carry their legacy forward. In the months that followed, the story of the USS Cyclops grew in prominence, drawing attention from historians, researchers, and adventurers alike. Our findings sparked renewed interest in the Bermuda Triangle and the mysteries that surrounded it. I felt a sense of pride in being a part of this journey, honoring the memory of those who have been lost while seeking to uncover the truth. As the anniversary of the Cyclops' disappearance approached, I felt a mix of anticipation and reflection. I want to commemorate the crew and their sacrifices to ensure their stories were not forgotten. On March 4, 2023, I organized a memorial event at the local Maritime Museum, inviting families of the crew, historians, and anyone interested in the story of the USS Cyclops. I prepared a presentation detailing our research, the discoveries we had made, and the ongoing search for answers. That day, the museum was filled with people. Some would travel from far and wide, eager to honor their loved ones and share their stories. As I stood before the crowd, I felt a sense of connection to all of them. We were united by a shared purpose, a collective desire to remember the past and seek the truth. As I spoke, I could see the emotions on the faces of the audience: sadness, hope, and determination. I shared the story of the Cyclops, the crew members who had served bravely, and the enduring mystery that continued to captivate hearts and minds. When I concluded, I invited anyone who had a story to share to come forward. One by one, family members spoke about their loved ones, sailors who had dedicated their lives to service, who had faced the sea with courage and resilience. Their words resonated deeply, reminding us all of the human spirit that drives exploration and adventure. As the event came to a close, a sense of camaraderie enveloped the room. We were no longer just individuals with shared interests. We were a community bonded by history, dedicated to keeping the memory of the USS Cyclops alive. In the weeks that followed, I continued my research, collaborating with historians and experts to explore new avenues of investigation. The story of the Cyclops had sparked a fire within me, and I was determined to keep the flame alive. But as I delved deeper into mystery, I began to encounter challenges. Skepticism arose from some quarters, with critics dismissing our findings as mere coincidence. I felt the weight of their doubt, but I also knew that the pursuit of truth was rarely easy. In the spring of 2023, I received an invitation to speak at a maritime conference in New Orleans, where I would have the opportunity to present our findings to a broader audience. I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension as I prepared for the event, eager to share our discoveries while grappling with the pressure of scrutiny. As I stood before the audience, I felt a surge of adrenaline. I shared the story of the USS Cyclops, the crew's journey, and the significance of the piece of debris we had discovered. I emphasized the importance of continuing the search for truth, not just about the Cyclops, but about the mysteries of the sea as a whole. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and I felt encouraged by the support of fellow researchers and historians. Conversation sparked, ideas flowed, and a renewed sense of purpose filled the room. It was a reminder that the quest for knowledge is a collective effort, one that requires collaboration and open-mindedness. In the month that followed, I continued to pursue the mystery of the USS Cyclops, driven by the stories of the crew and the desire to honor their memory. I collaborated with experts, engaged with maritime communities, and sought new avenues of exploration. But as the years passed, I also came to understand that some mysteries may never be fully resolved. The ocean holds its secrets close, and the USS Cyclops remains a testament to the unknown. Yet, in the pursuit of truth, I found connection, purpose, and a deep appreciation for the stories that shape our history. Years later, as I reflect on my journey, I realize that the mystery of the USS Cyclops is not just about a ship that vanished. It's about the lives of those who sailed her, the dreams they held, and the enduring spirit of exploration that drives us all. In honoring their memory, I found my own purpose, a reminder that while the sea may hold its secrets, our stories and connections will always rise above the waves.